Hello, everyone. Very good evening to all. I hope I'm audible. Please confirm in the chat box if I'm audible. Yes. Welcome and very good evening to you, Mahajabeen. Vivek, thank you for joining today. Durga Prasad, hi. Very good evening. Yes, Aishwarya too. So it's fantastic to see such a vibrant audience of undergraduates, postgraduates, PhD scholars, and young professionals who have gathered here today. And we are all united by one question: how do we bring AI and ML into our biology journey? Isn't it? Yes. Sharayu, Bharti, Minas, thank you so much all for your responses. And let's begin with our session today. Yes, Shubhakarini, welcome. Good evening. Thank you for confirming. All right. So, once again, a very warm welcome to all our participants who have joined us from across India and beyond. I am Urmimala, your host for today's exciting webinar, that is AI/ML Career Roadmap for Life Science Students, from classroom to core industry skills. So, have you ever wondered why science has come so far? It's how and why it has come so far. If you see in today's world, everything begins with a question. The reason why we have evolved so much with our discoveries and inventions is because we ask questions. Yes, because of our curious mind. Why does this happen? What if we could predict it? How can we make it solve faster? And thanks to our artificial intelligence and machine learning, we are finally living in an era where such questions don't stay unanswered for long. Whether it is decoding the mysteries of the genomes or predicting how a drug will act inside the human body, AI/ML has transformed how we understand biology. What once took years of trial and error can now be modeled, stimulated, and optimized in just few days. So this is the new age of data-driven biology meets computation, and innovation knows no limits. And here's why this matters for all of us. By 2028, over 60% of life science companies are expected to demand AI/ML expertise in their R&D and analytical teams. And that means whether you are an undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD, or even a postdoc, computational literacy has to be there. It's the foundation of the next decade's bioscience revolution. So, what's your goal today? In the next 1 hour, you're going to discover how to build your AI/ML foundation as a life science student and what the real career pathways look like. Whether it is like from classroom, how can you take it to the industry labs, right? No, Hari Krishna, we conduct lots of webinars regarding this in demand skills and in demand topics and domains. We very recently we also conducted AI Chemi Informatics. You can check in our YouTube channel. And today we are going to discuss about AI/ML in a broader sense in life science. So here's today's flow of session. Our first speaker, Mr. Prodyot Banerjee, will walk us through the AI/ML career roadmap for life science students. And he needs no introduction. All of the Biotecnika students, you would be already very familiar with Sir's classes. So to sum up, Prodyot Banerjee sir is a distinguished bioinformatician and computational biologist whose work exemplifies interdisciplinary innovation. An MTech in Bioinformatics, graduate from Delhi Technological University. He has qualified both GATE and NET CSIR NET, reflecting his academic rigor and scientific excellence. Mr. Banerjee specializes in CAD, employing virtual screening, pharmacophore modeling, molecular docking, and molecular dynamics simulations to accelerate therapeutic discovery. His expertise also extends to genomics and GWAS, where he applies advanced algorithms to uncover disease mechanisms. With research published in high impact Sci Index journals and presentations at premier institutes like IIT Kharagpur and NII New Delhi, his contributions span multiple top institutions, including CSIR IGIB, AIMS, IIT Madras, and CSIR CLRI. Beyond research, he has mentored over 200 students delivering invited talks across leading platforms such as AIMS, IITs, and CSI labs. Thank you so much for joining us, sir, and we look forward to your session.
Thank you for
Our
the
second
warm.
speaker, most welcome, sir. Our second speaker for the day, our guest expertise will dive into AI driven life science careers beyond academia, showing you how the global industry is evolving, the job roles that are emerging, and how to stand out in this booming AI biology job market. So, please help me welcome our speaker for the second speaker of the day, Mr. Amol Mahajan. I welcome you, sir. Yeah. So Amol Mahajan is a Gen I solutions architect and data scientist with over 6 years of experience building AI driven systems across healthcare, education, and enterprise domains. He specializes in generative AI, agentic AI, and MLOps, architecting multi agent workflows using LangChain, LangGraph, and cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and Databricks. Mr. Amol has led end to end AI deployments, integrating LLMs such as ChatGPT and and Llama 3 for real world automation, document intelligence, and RAG based applications. A certified AI professional from Databricks, Microsoft AWS, and IBM, he has delivered multiple POCs and production scale Gen AI systems that improved process efficiency and decision making. He's passionate about bridging AI and life sciences. Mr. Amol guides professionals on leveraging machine learning and AI to unlock future innovations and careers in bioinformatics, drug discovery, and personalized healthcare. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir, and we look forward to your session. Thank you for joining us. So we will be definitely taking up your questions at the end. Okay, so that's what we will be having a very interactive Q&A session at the end. And this entire session is designed to help you start implementing everything you learn here step by step. So that is why take out your notebooks and without much further delay, I hand over the controls to our first speaker, Mr. Prodyot Banerjee. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for this introduction. So hopefully I'm audible. Yes.
Mm, You are audible.
Okay. Thank you. So and my screen is also visible. Can just confirm with this.
Yes, it's visible. It's visible.
Thank you. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank Biotecnika once again for giving me the forum to speak. And so today our topic is basically AIML career roadmap. How you can transform your career from your life science to your data driven life science, or you say that how to analyze and what is the reason why should we analyze the data, why this particular data science or AI is booming. Okay, so why a life science student should learn that or should be catering to that particular thing. Okay, so we'll answer all of the questions like slowly and gradually, okay, in this particular session. So with that particular note, so let's get started. So, like introduction of mine, you have already listened. Okay, so without further of that, so let's move on to the main topic. So I'm just getting a pointer so that or a pen basically to help you out on where I am, so that you can follow which particular part I'm talking about. Okay, so basically, AI/ML career roadmap, like how you can transform your career from life science to a data-driven life science, or you want to transform it totally to your data science or like AI-based things. Okay, so we will like first talk about the needs. What's the problem? Okay, so we'll address the problem first, then we will talk about the solutions, and we will also talk about the ground reality solutions. Okay, so you might be thinking that, yeah, so we know already that AI/ML is booming and we need to do this, all of these things. But what is the proper pipeline, or basically what is the particular workflow via which you should be going onto all of those things? Okay, so we'll discuss on those particular fronts in today's session. Okay, so from classroom to core industry. So basically, what are the industrial skill set that will be required? Okay, so more like I will talk about the transition. Okay, how you can get from the classroom or to your from your regular wet lab based like experimental techniques to dry lab, or you can integrate also. It is not always about you have to like transform it like what do you say, totally. Okay, so you might be integrating your wet lab experiment with the dry lab, and coming up with the results, like you do the screening part and then you do the validation using wet lab, and that is also possible. So the hybrid kind of a paper or hybrid kind of a work nowadays, that is very much prevalent in the industry. Okay, so that is there, and then we will talk about the industrial roles that are there, and after each of the degree, how what are the types of job roles that you might expect. Okay, and after that, Mr. Amol would be focusing more upon the core industrial skills which are required. Okay, so that is about the timeline of today's webinar. Okay, so with that particular note, let's get started. So first things first, so the paradigm shift. Okay, so why the biology is getting digital? So what is the need of the hour? Why we are like getting on from your wet lab experiments to dry lab? What is the requirement of that? So that is the first thing. Okay, so that is the problem statement we want to address first. Okay, so because biology no longer belongs to wet lab only. I'm not saying that wet lab is not important. Obviously, to get the raw data, wet lab is very, very important. Okay, but like we are doing the wet lab for past so many decades. Okay, so of course, with the advent of more advanced genomic techniques, or like all of the different omics level techniques that has advanced in the past years. Okay, so because of that, we have a whole lot of data, okay, to analyze. So like we are now living in a data rich generation. Okay, so when the data is too much, okay, so it becomes very much like cumbersome for people to analyze it manually. Okay, so there comes the role of AI/ML, which can be used, or basically artificial intelligence and machine learning, where we can leverage the like use of machine learning techniques to automate certain part of the things. We can make the machine learn using your learning data set, and likewise. Okay, and then we can automate that particular workflow, and so that the rigorous amount of job like we don't have to do it manually. Okay, so it would be automated. So that is there. Okay, but what kind of data do you anticipate to analyze via the AI/ML part of the things? Okay, so basically we are looking about many a type of data set. We'll talk about that in the further slides also. But the major data sets that we cater to are your multi-omics data set. That what do you say, your the basic science that you must have studied in your like 12th also. After that, in your bachelor's also, you might be knowing about the central dogma of life. Okay, from there we get that from genomics to transcriptomics. Okay, so in between you also have epigenetic changes, then you have your proteomics to your metabolomics. So that is the flow how it goes. Okay, so omics basically means to study. Okay, and study of any of the branches would be called as that particular omics. So basically the study of gene would be called as a genomics. Likewise, for the study of the transcriptome would be your transcriptomics. Likewise, your proteomics and metabolomics. Okay, in between also you have a epigenetic changes, like that is called as your epigenomics. Okay, where we study about the changes from the likes of your histone modification, acetylation, and those things. Okay, yeah, so basically those things. So basically we are expecting data from genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and metabolomics. As a whole, it is called as your multi-omics data. Okay, so it can be clubbed together also, or you can also analyze them one by one also, depending upon what is your research question or which particular industry you are in. Let's suppose you are in a NGS based industry, so you'll be like there you'll be doing about the genomic kind of a stuff. Okay, so you'll be analyzing the data from the NGS experiment and the third generation sequencing experiments from the likes of your like Oxford Nanopore, PacBio, this that. Okay, so likewise, you can also anticipate your like a protein or proteomics based data. Like if you are modeling certain protein, okay, for the modeling also we have plethora of tools, plethora of algorithms in the AI, which can be used to automate that particular process. For example, you can look for your NVIDIA based server. Okay, so NVIDIA based server is there to basically automate the things. Like you can use that particular server from NVIDIA to basically model your protein. Some of the tool names would be your AlphaFold is there, then you have ESM fold is there, Boltz2 is there. Okay, so all those things can be used. Okay, just giving some of the examples, okay, out there, so that you can relate to it. Okay, So then high content imaging. Okay, so imaging techniques from the likes of any kind of medical imaging can be taken for as an example. Okay, so either you're talking about your MRI, CT scan, PET CT scan, this that. Okay, so those particular things can be analyzed directly without the intervention of a radiologist required. Okay, so you don't need a radiologist directly to what do you say, interpret those particular results. A CNN or a convolutional neural network algorithm can do that for you. Okay, so it can basically tell you that which one is a cancer cell, which one is having an abnormality, which one is having a which one is the normal cell, this that. But how it is done, obviously based on the training, based on the multiple data set that you will be using for the training of that particular CNN algorithm, convolutional neural network. Particularly that is used for your image recognition. So you can take the example of your Google Lens that you might be relating most of you. Okay, so if you take the example of Google Lens, okay, so if you click a photo of a, let's suppose a flower out there. Okay, so it will give you that what is that particular flower all about. Okay, and where can you get that particular flower or dress, this that. Okay, so how it is analyzing, it is basically taking that particular picture and then breaking it into multiple pixel, and then it is analyzing, and based on that, wherever it is finding the match, it is redirecting you to that particular what do you say, site or likewise. Okay, so it is just a rough example of how you can do a image analysis. Obviously for the medical analysis, obviously the algorithm is much more sophisticated. Okay, then you can work on any other kind of medical data from the likes of your patient records. Okay, so let's suppose if I have to give you a live example, we worked in AIMS. Okay, so back then we were talking we were taking the data from your SARS-CoV-2 patients. Okay, so there are multiple things, because as you take raw data from any hospitals. Okay, so you have to like clean that particular data, streamline that particular data like wangling would be there, so you need to process that particular thing. So those things we'll be talking about, but these are the major source of data that you get. Okay, but the main point, again getting back to the main point, is all of this generates a whole lot of data. Okay, so that is why the main thing comes in, that why we need AIML in the first place. Okay, so that is the like a problem statement, and this is the solution. This is the problem statement, this is the solution to it, that we cannot handle all of those things manually. That is why we are coming up with the like transformative algorithms which can automate the work for us. Okay, so of course, we are not diving deep into how to build an algorithm in this particular webinar, but we will be talking about how those things can be done. Of course, you can understand that that particular thing cannot be discussed in 20 minutes or even 1 day or 7 day or 1 month likewise. So that is why for that we have a separate course catering to that. Okay, so why this particular new education to employment landscape, let's understand that how this particular thing can land you up to a better job. Okay, and we will address that why every biologist basically needs your coding or getting onto the fields related to coding. Obviously AI is a part of coding, because coding acts as a prerequisite to AI, because when you want to train your AI machine and this that. Okay, so you need the basics of coding at first. Okay, and then you can use that particular coding skill set, okay, to pursue AI. Okay, basically if you want to train a machine learning algorithm, the tool you'll be using is coding itself. Okay, so why first thing is why all of the biologists need coding, or coding related field like data science, like AI, ML, all of those things. Okay, so there are multiple things that comes under AI also. Okay, so there are multiple things that comes under ML also. Okay, that we will talk about. So first thing, like automate repetitive data analysis. So that is the first thing. Basically all of the repetitive data analysis, which are like, it can be basic, it can be very complicated also, but the thing is this, you don't want to do a particular thing time and again. Okay, so if it follows a template, you should be coming up with a particular template, and you want to automate that particular process. And if you are feeding a new kind of a data, and you want that particular thing to be flown through this particular workflow, it will be done likewise. Okay, so the data might change, but the workflow template remains the same. Okay, you might do a bit of a manipulation depending upon the data. Of course, depending upon the data, you might do a bit of manipulation to cater to that particular data or what the data requires. But majorly, the things remains the same. Okay, and here, as you come up with a particular template or an algorithm, now your job is just to analyze, or basically even the results that you're getting from this particular workflow would also be like streamlined. Okay, so you don't have to do much on that. The initial work that you have to do is to train the machine learning algorithm, then you give it a test set, and then do the evaluation and this that. Okay, so that is there. Apart from that, you can understand and be a critic of all of the AI driven research papers, because that is very important. Okay, so if you are into academia or basically into research, so you need to understand all of the AI driven research paper. So why do you need to understand in the first place? So basically nowadays you see that if you are let's suppose you are a scientist also, you are doing very well in wet lab experimental things also. I have already told you, nowadays it is a generation of hybrid papers. Okay, so you do some part of it using wet lab, some part of it you are using dry lab. Okay, so and you are making a hybrid of that, and you are using both of them, okay, to come up with a paper. So what if you don't have to depend upon a third person to do the dry lab, and you can do it yourself? Okay, so that is one prospect. Apart from that, if you're a fresher, of course you can, let's suppose you have done a bachelor's or likewise, so you want to transform your career towards a better paying job or this that, so you can opt for a data science or AI driven science, where you need to understand the AI driven research papers. Okay, apart from that, all of the of course the AI is booming. Okay, so you need to be in that particular bus. Okay, otherwise as you understand, everything has come in. Okay, so everything has its own what do you say, phase, okay, or decade. Okay, that you understand. Like people do ask that AI will take up our job. No, basically we'll be solving more complex problems with the advent of AI. Okay, so basically, so you need to understand the AI first. You need to be the person who is training the AI. Okay, so you have to be at the forefront of that. Okay, so if you're lagging, then of course it might take your job. Okay, so building tools to answer your own biological questions. So this is a thing that differs for everyone. Okay, so biological question is a very, very broader term, as you understand. So you might be from environmental engineering, you might be from your nanotechnology, you can be you might be from your cancer biology, like immunology. There are a plethora of what do you say, branches or sub branches of your life science, as you understand. Okay, so but AI can cater to all of them, as you understand that AI is everywhere, not only in biology but also in all of the different fields out there. So likewise, all of the what do you say, the subjects that life science caters to, there also you can apply AI based things. So just the understanding remains the same, the AI understanding remains the same. You just have to what do you say, design your AI algorithm according to the problem you want to solve. Okay, so that is the main thing. Now coming on to your industry integration, because that is where you're going to get the jobs in. Okay, so first thing, if you want to stay in academia, okay, so you can be in academic labs from the likes of your CSIR, ICMR. You can also go to your foreign based labs from the likes of your Stanford, MIT, this, that. Okay, so there you will find that all of the research is going on AI for your novel drug discovery, like gene identification, variance identification, and what are the pathways that those particular gene manipulation or variances have clicked on. Based on that, you can do the pathway analysis, and you can infer that this particular pathway, or basically the malfunction of this particular pathway, has led to this particular disorder. Okay, lifestyle disorder or any kind of complex disorder. Maybe it might be your cancer, it might be your cardiovascular disorder, neurodegenerative disorder, this that. Okay, so complex disorder is what? Basically any disorder which is caused by multiple of the reasons. Okay, so there is not a particular reason to it. Okay, so that can be put it into the category of complex disorder. Okay, so now coming on to your pharma and R&D, goes without saying that if you are using your AI for your drug discovery, lead identification, then your lead validation, pharmacophore modeling, all those lines. Okay, So AI can be used to do your automated docking, to automated simulations, this, that. Okay, then your target identification. Okay, so target identification and screening are made so much easy using AI. So what took 5 to 6 years initially in the R&D phase of wet lab experiment, that particular thing now can be done in a month using AI. Okay, so it was done using like a bioinformatics tool. You could do it in 6 months or 7 months. Now it is furthermore, what do you say, fastened, and now you can use AI to do it in 15 days or like 1 month or so. Okay, so that is a rough figure, depending upon how many leads you want to screen this at. Okay, so biomarker discovery. So as you understand, for the immune-based disorder, biomarker discovery is very much important. For cancer biology, also biomarker discovery is very very important. Apart from that, clinical trial optimization. Okay, so if you are coming up with easier virtual screening methods, okay, and like those things, so that can streamline the further clinical preclinical clinical trial processes. Okay, that is there. Apart from that, nowadays you also hear about the like virtual clinical trials. Okay, so virtual clinical trials where instead of going like the patient won't go to the doctor in person after getting the dosage of the drug. Okay, so like drug and placebo both. Okay, so those particular a patient won't go to the doctor. Okay, instead they will be wearing some wearable devices and likewise which will take their vitals and fed it to the AI based algorithm, and that particular machine will be analyzing those particular things for you and giving the data in a very precise manner, and can also do some part of evaluation also based on the data, that which particular group is doing good. Okay, doing good, bad, what are the positive negatives of this particular clinical trial, everything. Okay, and that takes very what do you say, very integrate data as well. Okay, so very minimal to integrate data, everything it takes into account. So that is also there. Precision is obviously high, accuracy is high, precision is high. In less amount of time you can analyze more data, you can take more data into account. Okay, so all of those things. And apart from that, the main thing, without much of a human intervention required. Okay, then coming on to your startups from the likes of your AI based protein folding or protein what do you say, your protein modeling startups that you see, AlphaFold. Okay, AlphaFold is just the name of the product. Basically, the name of the company is DeepMind. Okay, from Google, which is acquired by Google. So Google's DeepMind, they have plethora of such tools from the likes of your AlphaFold. You have Alpha Messense. You have for identifying missense variances. AlphaFold is for doing protein modeling. Okay, then you also have genomic tools, genomic AI based tools from the likes of your expecto, which can do your variance analysis at your genome genomic level. Okay, or at tissue specific level as well. Okay, then you have your drug discovery tools. Okay, so there are multiple tools which can automate the drug discovery process from the likes of a diffdoc. Okay, used for docking. Okay, so diffdoc, DIFF, DOCK. So diffdoc can be used for your automated docking. Then you have simulation based tools. Okay, apart from that, for precision medicine, all of those things, so the startup companies, you can take the name of your Agnita AI is there. Apart from that, you also have your Grodia, which is doing very good. Okay, so Gurgaon based startup. Okay, likewise. So there can be multiple lines where you can talk about the startups. Okay, so it will take a whole day to talk about the startups in different fields of AI, but I'm just telling you about the generic agentic AI based startups, and likewise which are doing good in drug discovery tangent. Okay, yeah. So now, as we are already talking about the drug discovery, so let's dive in and take an example of a case study. Okay, so basically, like AI-driven drug repurposing. Okay, so in this particular process, how a AI, what do you say, AI algorithm can help, and how you can learn that particular process. Okay, so basically, what is a drug repurposing in the first place? So drug repurposing basically means that repurposing. No, so you just focus on the nomenclature. Re means again, and purposing, you are changing the purpose of that particular drug. Okay, how? So you can see certain drugs that are already available in the market, which are FDA approved, and in India it is CDSCO approved, and likewise. Okay, which are already used for a particular purpose. Now you want to change its purpose and see that that particular drug can be used for some other disorder, or basically it can help out in some other disease or disorder or not. Okay, so if I just have to take an example, let's suppose a pneumonia drug that can help in COVID conditions. Okay, because you can be doing a symptomatic treatment and the symptoms of both are somewhat similar. Okay, it is not that all of the your asthma drugs or likewise would be helpful. Of course, we need to study that you in at multiple levels from your. Of course, screening we need not to do because it is already a marketed drug. We have to start from your docking experiment to your validation using your simulation, then to clinical trials. All the clinical trials are already passed, but if you want to do it as a for a new target, then you can do it. Okay, so that is the changing of the purpose of a drug, that is called as your drug repurposing. Okay, so basically how a student, basically a fresher, can get started. So okay, so we are starting from absolute scratch. Okay, so first understand the problem. So the problem I have already stated, that the traditional drug discovery methods take too much amount of time. Okay, and nowadays we don't have that much amount of time. In order to give you a perspective, you can take the example of Pfizer and Moderna. Okay, when they were coming up with your mRNA vaccine, so they have used many of the computational tools to save a whole lot of money also. And the main thing, during the pandemic and epidemic, so they have to come up with the vaccine very fast. In that particular process, AI has helped them a lot. Okay, saving whole amount of money as well as meeting the deadline very fast. Okay, likewise, so that is the main problem that we were having, and that is solved by AI. Okay, so what is the solution in particular if we dive deep? So basically, we can come up with a ML model which can analyze vast amount of data to screen for the drug compounds. Okay, so basically we can take all of the marketed drugs only we are talking about, because we are talking about repurpose. No, so those are already marketed drugs, but we need to screen them first, like whatever disease we are targeting. Let's suppose you are taking a particular neurodegenerative disorder, for instance. Okay, let's take Parkinson's for that matter. Okay, so if you're taking Parkinson's and now you want to repurpose a certain drug, okay, so a drug which is used for your scissors or like some other neurodegenerative conditions, okay, can be used. Okay, so you will be initially screening those particular compounds which can have a good potential effect against this particular target. Then you will be taking the disease target, which mostly is a protein. Okay, so you will take this particular protein and then you take this as a ligand. Okay, so you extract the chemical formula in the form of you take the smiles of it, or like 3D structure, mostly we take in the structural biology. So we take the 3D structure of the ligand and we take the 3D structure of the protein, and then we make a particular algorithm which can automate the process of that particular screening using all of the things that are there, using docking experiments, this that based on your affinity score, how we can screen, and after that validating that those particular results using your simulation and likewise. Okay, so those things you can do. So that is one part of it. It is not that all of the algorithms would be like this only. Okay, it is just an example that we are taking up. Okay, so there can be multiple ways or multiple algorithms that you can come up with to do your drug discovery, then your drug repurposing, then your clinical database research. Okay, and then further coming up with a new drug, or you can repurpose an existing drug. Okay, so here we are talking about repurposing. So we are talking about existing drug that we will be repurposing for a new purpose. Okay, so basically, as a student or a fresher, how you can get started? So basically, you can easily take up free projects from the likes of your GitHub and Kaggle. Okay, so you can participate in hackathons. Okay, so some example would be the Dream Challenge hackathon that is very famous from Kaggle. Okay, so which caters to your biological data sets. Okay, so you can be a part of those particular hackathons, and likewise. Apart from that, you can take up there are plethora of examples and data that are there, okay, in GitHub and Kaggle. Okay, but of course, as a beginner you might not be very familiar with all of the what do you say, Python based thing, what has been written. Okay, so which particular library is used for what. Okay, so in those particular tangent we can help you out. Okay, so you can learn the basics from Python to R, and likewise, and then you can go to Kaggle, how what is the meaning of each of the process, okay, how you train your machine learning model, then what is the requirement of each libraries, this that. Okay, so then coming on to your examples, so certain example if you have to take, so let's suppose a student like a team is basically trying to build a repurposed drug. So that is the case study basically. So we want to come up with a public drug interaction analysis first, and then train the machine learning algorithm based on that particular data, which will be acting as a training set. Okay, and then based on that, we will be screening out potential candidates from there, which can act as an anti-inflammatory agent. Okay, so it can be for any disorder. Okay, so in most of the disorder you have your inflammation, that is the first reaction that you have. Okay, so anti-inflammatory agent, you can come up with a better anti-inflammatory agent which is having less of your side effects and more of effectiveness, having more, what do you say, IC50, like there are multiple things, IC50 values, this that. Okay, so how much time, what is the retention time of that particular drug in your body. Okay, what is the ADMET score or the pharmacokinetic and dynamic profiles, those things. Okay, you can do. Okay, all of those things can be automated using AI. Okay, so that is about the thing that we are trying to solve. Okay, so now let's understand that which particular degree will give you what kind of a skill set expertise and where you can land up, or what kind of a role you can expect from there. Okay, so it is a rough figure, of course, depending upon your university, then the equipments, this, that, everything. Okay, so if you are into bachelor's, either be it your BSc or BTech, okay, so it is foundational, of course. In science, a bachelor's is a foundational part where you'll be learning about the basics of all of the things, either it be your Python or R or C, and likewise. Okay, then you have statistics, then your basic biological data literacy. This is very important, by the way. Okay, of course this particular data driven things are important, but if you are not able to understand the data in the first place, makes no sense that you know Python and R. Okay, all of them comes together to give you a proficiency to analyze the things. Okay, so you can expect a role of a research assistant, bioinformatician, like intern bioinformatician, and likewise lab technician, technical assistant or technician, and likewise you can also be in the sales of the bioinformatics CRO division companies. Okay, and likewise. Okay, so then coming on to masters, either you are in your MSc or MTech. Okay, so you can do a specialization. Of course, masters is a specialization, and I will urge you to get a specialized select a specialized field to do your masters. Like, what I'm trying to say is, if you have done your BSc or BTech in biotech, don't do a MTech in biotech. Okay, so because biotech is a field like that particular caters to many of the fields. Okay, so that is like doing a master on a wider field is not a very good thing. So you will become jack of all trades, master of none kind of a thing. Okay, so I would urge that you go for a data science specialization or your bioinformatics specialization, and likewise that you can do. Okay, so like ML algorithm you can use from the likes of your scikit-learn and all. So there are multiple algorithms that can be used from the likes of your neural network, this that, multiple things are there. Okay, so then data wrangling, you can you have to cater to that deep learning basics, and then domain expertise that you required. Okay, so based on what kind of role you are into and what kind of data you cater to, based on that your expertise would be required. Okay, and you apply based on that only as per your expertise goes. Then you can become a data scientist. Okay, bioinformatician. Okay, bioinformatics analyst, bioinformatics scientist. Okay, and then computational biologist, and on those lines. Okay, now, if you are a PhD, so PhD mostly caters to you gaining more experience on that particular field and diving deep into a particular sect, or basically into a particular, what do you say, topic. Okay, and you are also gaining much expertise. Okay, so that is there. Apart from that, PhD scholars are also having experience. So those particular like this is also a degree, also an experience. It is counted in experience. That is the first thing. But the main thing that the PhD focuses in is innovation, because either you're going for academia or for your research. Okay, there your main purpose is to publish paper. Okay, do more things that will be novel in nature. Okay, so you want to come up with the novel findings, and likewise Okay, for that again, the skill set required would be just the same. It is just that you will dive more deep into those particular tangent, want to develop new algorithm, develop new kind of a workflow that can help you with your particular kind of a research. Okay, so like your deep learning can again be used. Okay, so like from the likes of your PyTorch, TensorFlow can be used. Apart from that, convolutional neural network, then your natural language processing. Okay, then computer vision, many things are there. Okay, under deep learning that can be used. Research methodologies that you need to focus upon, publication. Okay, then tool development, all those things would be your focus area. Okay, then the role that you can expect is a research scientist after a PhD. Then you can be a AI specialist, okay, lead bioinformatician, okay, or you can be a team lead in some of the big, what do you say, pharmaceutical company or AI based company that is there. Okay, and if you do a postdoc, it is majorly experience that you gain. Okay, so that is postdoc. You publish more of papers over here. Okay, so here your focus is morely upon the leadership, and you will be getting more of scientific manager kind of a job role. Okay, so project management, you will be the like project manager, project lead, and likewise. Okay, so cross functional collaboration. So nowadays you see cross functional collaboration basically means interdisciplinary thing. So you need to understand multiple disciplines for that. Okay, and if you have done a postdoc in this particular field, you are experienced enough to do that. Okay, so it is not that you will be doing a postdoc in this particular field only, but we are here talking about if you do a postdoc or PhD in this particular field. But if you haven't done that, what to do, that we will coming like that we will also discuss in the further slides. Okay, so mentoring that you can do, then strategic like visionary roles that you will get mostly. Okay, after this, so like principal scientist, okay, senior principal scientist, and likewise all that follows after that. Okay, so then you have your AI team lead, director of data science based company, and this that. Okay, of course directly you can't become a director. We are talking about that you can be in that particular role, gaining much more experience to become a director, and likewise startup founder, this that. Okay, likewise those things you can do. So those are about the job roles that you can expect. Okay, now coming on to that, okay, so I have a PhD, I have a master's, but that is not from this particular field, or that is not from your bio IT, or like that is not from your bioinformatics or data science. Then what to do? Okay, so you can like opt for an internship or real life project in order to understand that. In that particular process, Biotecnika can help you a lot. Okay, so apart from that, if you want to start fresh, so what are the easier steps that can help you with the like jobs basically? Okay, so these are the easier 5 stage what do you say process that you can follow. In that, the first stage is basically learning about the biological data. I have already told you that without knowing about your data, knowing all other things makes no sense. Okay, you need to understand your data much better, so that you can understand that which particular AI algorithm can be applied for that particular data. Okay, it is nowhere it is written that for this particular data, this is the only algorithm. You can only use support vector machine. You can only use a classification or regression for this particular thing. So that you need to interpret, and for that you need to know your biological data in and out. Okay, and for that you need to have a deep understanding of your all the omics levels. Okay, so genomic data, if you are catering to your nucleic acid sequences, then your in what do you say, your sequencing based data, this that. Okay, then your transcriptomics based data, proteomics based data, metabolomic analysis data, all those data you should be knowing about. Okay, and how this particular workflow flows. And let's suppose I'm talking about a like proteomic data. So I can head back to the genomics to understand where the malfunction has happened, because of which this particular thing has reciprocated to the proteomic level. Because as you know, genomics being the building block of all of the things, gene being the building block of all of the things. So anything that has happened over there might be reciprocated, because there might be a silent mutation also, that is a separate thing. But if it is transversing to a phenotypic condition, of course it is changing the protein structure and thereby changing the functionality of the protein, and afterwards like also circumventing with your further cascade of reaction that follows in your metabolome. Okay, So then coming on to analysis of the imaging techniques from the likes of your MRI, CT scan, PET CT, this, that, all of the medical imaging techniques that you have. Apart from that, in biology, you also have microscopic techniques. Okay, so microscopy, radiology techniques, all of those particular results you can analyze easily. Okay, using your deep learning mostly we use for this, because analyzing like image based data is the most integrate, and for that we have CNN, convolutional neural network, and likewise the architecture, this, that you can learn. Okay, so once you dive deep into that, then comes your clinical data. Okay, so of course, like image-based data can be from clinical source, also can be from your research source. But clinical data basically cater to your EHRs. So what are EHRs? Basically, electronic health records. So nowadays we don't keep the records in your like books and offline things. Okay, so we have like what do you say? All of the things are in electronic records nowadays. So electronic health records, EHRs are there. Then you have lab reports that are there. Okay, so no need to write the lab reports manually. So you can come up with a USG based film that is there. Okay, or the image that is generated, and based on that, the AI can analyze that and write the report based on that. Okay, and but you need to understand how to interpret that, because if you don't understand how to interpret that particular lab report, how will you train your machine based on that? Okay, so first you need to train your machine, and for that you need to provide them that particular thing, that what me like which particular thing means what. Okay, then if a new data comes, it can analyze based on the previous result. How you have studied something, someone have told you something in your like previous classes, that is why you are able to now use that particular knowledge to interpret all other things that follows after that. Okay, so data pre-processing, that is very important, because the data in the raw form can be going haywire. Okay, so it can be going very haphazard data you can get. Okay, so because raw data is like the most challenging thing that you will be facing. Okay, for that thing you need to first and foremost thing is to clean the data. Okay, so like handle the missing values, or like some patient goes missing, or like what do you say, like the full data is not provided, incomplete data is there, this, that, many things are there. Okay, then second thing is annotation. Annotation is very important for all kind of data. Annotation basically means to tag something. Okay, so tag it with something, like if you're using like with a particular gene name, so when I search by that particular gene name, I will always land up to that particular gene, that particular variance only. Okay, patient metadata. So patient metadata also has to be annotated very well, else you will be confused about which particular patient has what particular kind of disorder, when like for how much time the treatment is going on, what is the interpretation of that, this, that. Okay, then normalization, so as to make the data comparable. Okay, so you can't go to different hospital and compare all of the patient data as a whole, so there is some kind of a normalization that you need to do, so that the all the data can be put in into a similar line values, and then can be compared, and likewise. Okay, so likewise then you can apply ML models. Okay, so like your like supervised based model, like your classification and all. Okay, the classification regression, so if you are having a like categorical problem, you apply classification. If you are having a continuous based relationship between the input and the output, you use a regression. Okay, for that particular thing. And classification can be used to classify between two different classes, like a diseased class and a healthy class. So in a cohort you want to classify between disease and the healthy people, so that you can do regression. As I said, it is a continuous thing, so you can use it for prediction purposes. Okay, so it is used for a data which is ever changing, or it is very highly dynamic in nature. Okay, so predicting responses which can be dynamic, that is why. Okay, then coming on to clustering. Okay, so clustering, so identifying cell types. Okay, so there are multiple cell types. If you want to categorize between them, or basically cluster them to a particular group, you can use clustering, which comes under your unsupervised learning and all. Okay, so you have different types of ML model, from the likes of your supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement, this, that. Okay, so then interpreting that particular data is very, very important and very, very critical. There is the main role of yours, because once you have trained your machine learning model, it has given you the result. Okay, so you can also make the model learn in a way that it can interpret the data by itself. But apart from that, you should be checking that particular model accuracy time and again. That you might be using multiple models. You might be using a deep learning model, and this like multiple different deep learning models, so to see that which model is performing best for this particular kind of a data. That is also there. Okay, so apart from that, in order to question your query, like what gene are more like most important, or which particular pathway is activated because of this or that. Okay, so those particular trigger points also you can analyze. Then after this is the common thing for all of the fields, that you need to communicate well. Okay, you need to like what do you say, market yourself well. Okay, so via different like LinkedIn and this that. Okay, apart from that, you should be able to handle good dashboards, create good dashboards from the likes of your like visualization libraries, like your Plotly is there. Then you have like Tableau is there. Apart from that, you also have your Matplotlib is there, ggplot is there, multiple are there. Okay, likewise, apart from that, you can also go for your, of course, publication is a very very important thing if you are into academia or if you are into research. So this is a testimony of how much of a rigorous researcher you are. H index and this that. Okay, so how many citations you have got, impact factor, all of those things. Okay, then your good presentation and soft skill also do matter, because if you are not able to communicate what you have learned, or if you are not able to portray that particular thing what you are doing, so it is of no use basically. Okay, likewise, so your soft skill also do matter a lot. Okay, so you see the people talking in the podium. Okay, so they would be telling the thing in a concise way, so that any person who is very new to the field also can understand. That is the power of presentation, and how you present a particular thing before the forum or before anyone who is not having any idea of that particular field. They should also be able to understand that. Okay, yeah, so that you use very simple language. And likewise, okay, so after that, what are the career entry points and the opportunities that you can start with? Okay, so online data sets that you can start with. Okay, so which are free to use basically. You need not to spend any penny for this. From the likes of your NCBI GEO, Gene Expression Omnibus it is called as. So NCBI GEO is very like free database. Okay, so from here what you can find, from here you can find the raw data of the sequencing experiments. Okay, so you can find the sequencing experimental raw data from here. If you want raw data of the cancer imaging, like PET CT this that, or different cancer group classification this that, so you can head back to TCGA, that is the Cancer Genome Atlas, it is called as TCGA. So this is another database. So these are bioinformatic toolkits or data sets that you can use for free. Okay, as a as to extract the data. Okay, after that you will be putting it into the algorithm and training your machine and this that. Okay, so if you want a protein for that matter, so you can use your protein data bank or your AlphaFold, and likewise those things can be used for your proteomic structural analysis, on likewise those things. Then you if you want to start up with project and new algorithm building, more understanding, depth understanding of your Python or this that, so you can curate get the curated data sets from your GitHub, Git, and your Kaggle. Okay, that is there. Then you can get some expertise, hands-on expertise from the likes of your internships. Okay, from biotech and pharma AI based companies. Okay, Biotecnika can help you in that particular front a lot. We have a whole lot of courses catering to different population, and AI in Cheminformatics we have, AI in biology we have, bioinformatics we have, multiple different job roles based on that. We have our internships. You can also opt for edX platforms and this that. NPTEL, IIT also provides their own program, and likewise. Okay, so AI focused fellowships are there. Okay, NIH funded fellowship. NIH is a National Institute of Health, as you know, so the most revered hospital and research institute out there in the US. Okay, so NCBI is a part of NCBI is a part of NIH. Okay, so biotech startups that you can work with, because if you work in the startups as a fresher, so you'll get to learn a lot. Okay, you might not be paid very well at the initial phases, but you will learn a lot. Okay, and based on those particular learnings you can apply for a what do you say, bigger company with handsome packages and this that. Okay, that is the way forward. Okay, so I won't take much of your time already. Much of the time is gone. So basically, just the last two slides. Okay, so what kind of project we are talking about? Okay, so two examples of certain project. Of course, we have plethora of project, and the industry demands a whole lot of things. Okay, depending upon what kind of data you cater to, what kind of project you want to do. But certain examples would be, let's suppose, take a project, one example to build your portfolio, let's suppose. So predicting protein localization using machine learning. Okay, so this is a simple example. Okay, so of course we can go dive much deeper into that. Only this much won't be a project. Okay, so this is the initial phase of the project, then you will go further deep into that. Okay, so the goal is to predict a protein. Okay, so the protein is basically in the nucleus or cytoplasm, because what is the thing that we are trying to identify, that localization of that particular protein. Okay, so it is a cytoplasmic protein or nucleus space or membrane protein or this that. Okay, so for that you can use like your feature extraction. Feature extraction you can do from the amino acid, because it's a protein, so protein is made up of amino acid obviously. Okay, then you can do the classification using the likes of your support vector machine. So this is a algorithm, like this is a classification as well as regression can be done using SVM both, as well as you can also use random forest, and multiple more can be used. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, so you can use classification algorithms from the likes of your support vector machine or random forest to execute that. Okay, so if you want to dive deep and if you want to use some deep learning based techniques, so deep learning is obviously solving much more complex problems, and the main USP of a deep learning is having the multiple deep layers. So that is why the name comes deep learning. So, and the deep layers are not confined based on the intricacy of the problem. The hidden layers, also called as, okay, these are also called as hidden layers. So this particular hidden layers keeps on changing. Okay, if the problem is more complex, so the hidden layers will be increased in order to analyze that particular thing in a better way and to give you a better predictive result. Okay, so the goal here basically, as a biologist, let's suppose we want to classify, we have plethora of your images, okay, from any of the hospital, let's suppose. Okay, and we want to classify those particular images based on its nature of being cancerous or not. Okay, so that we can do how? Obviously I have already told you that we need to train our algorithm using multiple of the normal cancerous different type of cancer based data set first, then it will be capable enough to analyze this particular thing. Okay, and for the image based data we mostly use convolutional neural networks. Okay, so CNN for classifying between your cancer and normal cells, that can be used. Okay, so image processing would be done. Of course, the initial part that we have talked about, that cleaning annotation, that goes without saying, that will be done. After that, you apply the deep learning method, that is your convolutional neural network. Although only convolutional neural network is not there, but of course, for the image, CNN is most prompt. Okay, by using your Python libraries, of course, you'll be using some of them like your TensorFlow and Keras likewise. Okay, so what are the key takeaways from all of the things that we have discussed in this particular session is, so basically first thing that matters is your mindset. So how much you want to learn, how much future ready you want to become. Okay, based on that you will be learning. Okay, so it is not that if you always are thinking that no, I will stick to the wet lab only, I don't want to learn anything new. So it is not like that. Okay, so I have already told you, you don't have to let go the wet lab expertise of yours and then you have to grasp your this particular AI. Okay, it is not like that. Okay, so research and all the advancement happens so that you can utilize all of them at once and do a better research. Okay, likewise, so embrace your basically computational thinking and the core. Because why it says computational thinking, because whatever I'm talking about, let's suppose the coding being the absolute basic of all of this particular AI and all of the things, data science and all. Okay, so what coding demands is, coding is just like mathematics. Okay, it is about critical thinking. Okay, and what are the logics that you apply? The logic that I apply and you apply might be different, but we can land up with a similar result. That happens. Like there are n number of ways to solve a mathematical problem. Likewise is coding also. Okay, so that is why your critical thinking and how you want to solve a problem, that does matter, and that do cater to your how you can train a better algorithm and come up with a better streamlined process. Okay, so someone is doing a particular thing in 8 steps, you can come up with an algorithm that can do it in 2 steps. Okay, likewise. So then roadmap. Okay, so follow a structured path, obviously a streamlined path, and follow the chronology of the things. Okay, so you don't jump onto the conclusions first. You just don't do the data science first. Okay, so you learn the Python first, and then come on to what is an ID, how you can start off with your general Python or R. Or as a beginner, I would suggest you hold on to some either one of the languages. Okay, you don't have to do both Python or R. Okay, so if you find Python more easy, or more what do you say, prompt to your particular understanding, okay, or it is easier for you to understand, so then you take Python or you take R. So that is not a problem. Both of them has libraries that caters to biological analysis. And why we are discussing about Python and R so much? Because Python and R has the libraries that caters to biological analysis. That is why. Otherwise, we could have done it using middle level languages like C and C++, Java, .NET, this, that. Okay. But they doesn't have the libraries that caters to biological problem. Okay. So if I have to give you an example, like the bioconductor from R. Okay. Or the biopython package from Python. Okay. So those things caters to a biological problem. Okay. Likewise. So then your actions, what should be your actions? So basically start building your skill sets. Okay, your portfolio, how to build it, I have already covered that particular part. Okay, then you can get started using your public data sets or databases. Okay, and of course, if you need any guidance, okay, so how to process with all of those things, we are here to guide you. Okay, apart from that, if you how to get started, how to get on to further part of the things, if you want to take up a particular project, there also we can help you with. We have plethora of project example which are industry ready basically. Okay, then what should be your next step, what you can start today? Okay, so because there is no tomorrow. Okay, so what you start today is the thing that you're working upon. Okay, so basically install your Python notebook or whatever IDE you are comfortable in. Okay, so you can be using a VS Code or whatever. Okay, so likewise, so then or a Google Colab you can also use, which for which you don't have to install anything, that is a cloud server. Okay, so complete one basic Python and data science tutorial. For that, you can refer to books like your the basics of Python. Okay, and like a BioPython module package and like module and packages, those things, or the basics of BioPython, and likewise those things you can go through. Okay, so apart from that, browse your publicly available data sets from the likes of your Gene Expression Omniverse, Kaggle is there, GWAS, like Genome Wide Association Studies is there, OMIM is there. Okay, Online Mendelian Inheritance in Man. Okay, there are multiple databases like that. Okay, which are for free, which can be used for your Geo is also another tool, Gene Ontology, which can be used to get your genes based on the ontology terms, that which particular cellular component they belong to, which particular metabolic processes they are involved in, this, that. Okay, that you can use for your training, and based on that you can come up with a algorithm catering to your particular research question. Okay, so with that note, so that is all from my side as of today. Hopefully you have gained some knowledge from this particular session. Okay, so that is all from my side. See you in the next one. Okay, bye bye. I hand over the baton to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pradip Banerjee, for that powerful and structured roadmap. And I'm sure every student here now has a much clearer idea of how to move from learning biology to actually applying the AI in real research or the projects. So, the stage wise skill building framework and the examples that you have used, like AI driven drug repurposing, it has really made it so relatable and actionable. So thank you very much for the session. We'll have you once again in the Q&A session.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's time for our next session. I request Mr. Amol Mahajan to kindly take the controls, and if you could start with your presentation, sir.
Sure. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, it's visible,
So,
sir.
so before going ahead, I guess Prajit sir has already walked you through the technical stuff, as in what all technical details could be there, what all technical stuff would be covered in this course. Likewise, so I'll not take you through the technical stuff. I'll make you explore what are the different endless possibilities of using AI and its different verticals, as in the different verticals of data science, be it machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, or generative. How you can use this in life science, pharma, healthcare domain, in drug discovery phase, and endless possibilities of it, and how eventually things will fall into a plate in terms of reducing the downtime and other stuff. So we'll start with that. First of all, I'll take you back to the COVID phase, like March 2020, when we were hit by COVID. So at that particular time, a lot of companies were doing R&D in terms of coming up with certain drugs which can help our immune system to fight against this COVID kind of viruses and other stuff. But we were already being informed by these different news channels that drug discovery phase generally take a lot of time. Years and years are being required. A lot of trial needs to be conducted because it's a life and death scenario. It is not something related to money or any kind of normal prediction as such. So a lot of research needs to be conducted. A lot of money needs to be invested in that particular phase. But since AI came into picture, they were able to reduce the like timeline for doing any kind of drug discovery and other stuff by drastically. There were certain research papers which were published recently, in which they have particularly said that they have reduced the drug discovery phase by almost 5 years, and the amount of cost as in required for, let's say you have to have this thousand number of people, there's different types of batches, you have to take care of their living, their food, the experimentation that they are being performed to, and the track of their medical records, as in what BP the particular person has, what is the ECG records, whether the given medicine that is given to him yesterday and today, how the interactions are happening on his body likewise. So there are a lot of small things that need to be taken care of. So over here the AI and automation goes hand in hand, which is wisely said, because what AI basically does, all the manual works which requires a lot of efforts, all the research work, all the R&D work, all the making sure that all the data is in place, and a mathematical inferences or mathematical trends or as such pattern can be found in your data set, which will eventually help you in doing any kind of prediction or any kind of classification or any kind of discovery likewise. So this AI has helped a lot in terms of reducing the time and as well, along with in terms of research, and it has also helped in reducing the cost as well. Now we'll look at certain high demand roles in pharma and biotech domain. First one is related to computational biologist, which basically helps in interacting with the data and interacting with the modular biology. They are you can consider them as a more of a subject matter expert, and likewise we have certain branches as an AI discovery scientist who are more of a domain expert. Like there are two different type of people: subject matter expert and domain expert. So domain expert only have the understanding of the domain, whereas subject matter expert people are those people who have equal understanding of domain, but they also have technical understanding, as in which algorithm would work better, whether we should go for any kind of classification problem, or clustering would do better, or let's say segmentation we should go ahead with likewise. So this is something, a critical process where human expertise is always required. So as Pradyot sir also previously said, that AI is not going to take your job. AI is going to assist you. It's just that who is not able to cope up with the AI, who is not able to learn AI, for these particular type of people, they might feel that, oh, AI might take my job like this. Then we'll talk about certain diagnosis wherein the AI power has come up in terms of giving precise medicines. So we'll first, let's we all of know, right? We have this different types of neural networks such as ANN, CNN, RNN. AN basically means this artificial neural network, which basically helps you to deal with tabular data kind of stuff. Let's say there's a certain patient who is being admitted into hospital, so you have to continuously scan its electronic records. So there are BP readings, there are MRI readings, there are ECG readings, which are mostly comes up into numerical representation. So these kind of data can be easily handled to this ANN types of model, which can analyze the trends and pattern in the data, and then they can detect lows and highs. Because I'll give you one more example. You might have heard or seen this news that Apple Watch has saved a person, like he was going to get a heart attack, or he got the heart attack, but the Apple Watch directly like called the SOS and informed the hospital, and ambulance came in and his life was saved. Why all these things are happening? None of these things are completely rule based. Like what rule based and AI driven approaches, I'll help you understand. So rule based basically means, let's say normally if we see the range of BP, it generally ranges from 80 to 120, in which we say that if it goes below 80, then we say low BP here. And then let's say if the range goes above 120, we say that the person is suffering from high BP. But that is not just one symptom which is responsible for heart attack. There are n number of patterns, n number of features that are equally responsible for a person getting introduced to a disease. So as a doctor, eventually focusing on these different aspects, there might be certain scenarios that he is not, the doctor particularly not like focused on certain factors, and he did not come up with this conclusion, okay, this person might get a heart attack like this. But what AI model over does is, it has been trained on large amount of data, as in different people. So it has a lot of versatility. So it knows, okay, this type of scenarios where there's a particular got a heart attack. So if this particular person also has this type of BP, this type of ECG reading, and other stuff. So it eventually understands, okay, there are high chances that this person might get a heart attack like this. So there are n number of possibilities in this particular case wherein CNN can be used to detect, like from images you can detect tumors as well. From images you can detect whether a person is suffering from any kind of disease or not. Like in the time of COVID, there was not only just COVID test, we also used to have this X-ray wherein they used to look at the lumps present inside our lungs, and based on that they used to analyze whether the person is having COVID or not. So CNN kind of models can be used, which stands for convolutional neural network, wherein images are being processed. Like previously, as I said, ANN, in which we process tabular data. Now in CNN we process image type of data, and based on those images and anomalies detected, we try and process that information and then come to the conclusion. Similarly, another type of neural network is there, which is called as RNN, which basically stands for recurrent neural network. It is specifically used for understanding the textual data just like a human does it. So you can take it example of a medical records. Let's say a person has visited a hospital every 10 months from a particular, from Jan, let's say he's visiting the hospital till October likewise. So all the 10 months record, if a particular person is reading, he might end up forgetting, okay, in January this was particular reading, in February this was the change in the pattern. But if you feed this data to the model is able to have this memory, the model is able to have the contextual understanding of it, because of which it tries and understand, and then it remembers, okay, when you were trying to give this particular type of medicine to a patient, his BP and ECG were coming to be low. When you are trying to change this particular medicine, let's say the medicines have power, right, 25 mg, 30 mg likewise. So they can analyze how the impact is being created on a patient's health based on increasing or decreasing the dosage, or let's say trying different brands medicine or trying a different medicine as such. So these different small trends can be observed and detected using this ANN, CNN, RNN type of models. Similarly, we have certain multimodal models as well, which basically means, so what multimodal model means over here? So multimodal model basically means having different types of data set, as in one could be a PDF file, one could be MP3 file, one could be MP4 file likewise. So analyzing this different type of file formats and then coming up to conclusion is nothing but called as multimodal models, in which a lot of discoveries are being made. Then we also have this treatment personalization, wherein a model predicts a person's therapy based on his individual responses, based on his medical records and other stuff. We'll move on to the next slide. Over here, we can see certain key roles in the healthcare and AI domain. The first one is related to a biomedical data scientist. Basically, a biomedical data scientist is a person whose work is to analyze complex health diseases and to extract this actionable insights for clinical decision making. Because any type of result, if a model is trying to predict, it is based on certain data, certain trends that are being observed in the data likewise. So it is not just going to be a single feature that is eventually predicting our target column. There are n number of features which are combined together, creating an impact, and because of which our model is coming to conclusion, okay, this particular person might have COVID, this particular person might have cancer, this particular person might have diabetes. These kind of things can only be detected when you are able to observe the small trends and patterns present in your data set. So the biomedical data scientist is particularly focused on this type of role. Then we have a machine learning engineer. So this particular profile is specifically into tech side, wherein he has a good understanding of different types of machine learning problems, be it supervised, reinforcement, semi-supervised, unsupervised machine learning problems. So he has more understanding to it, and based on that, he tries to analyze the data. He tries and comes up with solutions. Okay, for this particular type of problem, we should go ahead with this type of model. Let's say for a cancer prediction, if a model is giving 60% accuracy, no one is going to consider the output of that model as a valid, because over here life and death is at stake. So at this particular point of time, or at this particular type of problem statement, accuracy is a major important factor. So we have to look at for certain different metrics, or we have to look at different algorithms or different techniques in order to improvise the model's performance, so that we are able to have this at least 85 to 90% of results. But what happens in the industry is most of the time we don't get a data set which is completely balanced, right? Let's say if I'm trying to build a model related to any kind of disease detection, let's say if I'm trying to build a cancer detection model. So the amount of data that I'll have in general, if I'll collect, so 95% of the data would be people related to not having cancer, and hardly 5% of the data would be related to people having cancer. So if you train your data set based on this high biasness, as in 95% of the points corresponding to saying no, whereas 5% of the data points corresponding to saying yes, then your model will automatically get biased towards the data points which have higher weightage. So over here, the expertise of a machine learning engineer comes in, wherein he'll try to balance the data set, making sure that the model doesn't get biased towards the data point which are having higher weightages. So these kind of technical expertise and technical skill sets and technical decision making capabilities you'll be only able to understand when you once you enroll into the course, once you start understanding what different types of machine learning models are, how they work, what is the mathematical intuition behind selecting a particular model, and let's say if you're not able to achieve good results from a model, how you can improvise it, how you can fine tune it, what are the different features that you can tune in order to achieve your good results like this. Similarly, there are certain emerging sectors such as agri and bio startups, which are recently raising a lot of funds. You have like you might have observed that there are multiple drone companies which are raising huge funds. So what these basically drones do, they take a quick round or a quick tour of your field. They analyze the plants, their position, and they for every second they take like hundreds or thousands of pictures, and based on those pictures it tries and understand, okay, for this particular type of plant, if it has this type of leaf structure and they are like yellow pigments or light green pigments, then there might be a deficiency of urea, or there might be a deficiency of xyz like medicine likewise. So based on the rotation and based on those images extracted, the model comes up to the conclusion like, okay, you are into this particular longitude and latitude position, and it also heads to the weather forecast APIs. So considering the current weather and considering the upcoming weather, these are the medicines that you need to give to your plant so that it doesn't get overwatered, it doesn't get underwatered, it is able to have, it should not have this chloroform deficiency and other stuff, and you are able to get the maximum yield out of your crop like this. So these kind of startups are again raising a lot of demand nowadays. Then we have certain global companies who are continuously hiring into this AI and lifestyle domains. We have certain tech giants such as Google Health is there, DeepMind is there, Nvidia is also equally interested in like dominating in this particular field, and Amazon. So it's always there into any kind of new research or R&D that is coming up into the market like this. Similarly, we have certain pharma-based companies as well, which are taking aggressive steps in terms of this life science domain, such as this Pfizer is there, which is like heavily invested into this pharmaceutical R&D trials, clinical trials, launching new drugs likewise. And we also have this AstraZeneca likewise. So in order to crack the fresher level role into these particular companies, it's equally important that you know this Python, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, how generative AI works, what type of models are there, which technique should be used in which particular scenario. So this decision making capabilities you'll be able to get once you explore these type of courses. Then we'll look into the Indian ecosystem wherein different type of life sciences hub are there, such as if you look at large employers such as Sun Pharma is there, Cipla is there. They are doing a lot of stuff in terms of doing clinical trials, coming up with new medicines, finding out which particular drug combination works for different type of people, and then they accordingly decide, okay, for this particular type of blood group people, or people having diabetes type of problem, this medicine should not be given to them, or people having this particular type of problem, this type of medicine should be prescribed to them. So similarly, we have different startups as well and R&D hubs as well in Bangalore and Hyderabad, other stuff, which are heavily contributing in this particular field. If we talk about from careers perspective, there are certain entry level job which, like I guess already has been told to you, such as research assistant is there. Then we have this associate level jobs in terms of research assistant. And if we look at the job at mid level, let's say after 2 years or 3 years down the line, once you enter into this particular field, there are certain jobs such as data scientist is there, AI research scientist is there. So it's not just the domain expertise, but the people who have the technical knowledge. Technical knowledge isn't they understand machine, they understand how the machine learning algorithm works. So these people are able to land those jobs. Then once you gradually pass the 5 year, 8 year down the line, you'll have the jobs of AI architect, AI lead, project manager, clinical AI lead likewise. And once you have 10 plus years experience into this particular industry, you get the role of research director, solution architect, technical lead in that particular domain likewise, then chief data officer. So these are the different roles and possibilities present inside that domain. Then let's try and understand how you can climb those ladders, because you cannot directly learn generative AI, you cannot learn directly NLP. In order to understand these things, you should first start learning Python or R as a basic language. Then you'll slowly learn about different algorithms, as in different techniques or libraries that are used, such as Pandas is there, NumPy is there, scikit-learn is there, Seaborn is there, Matplotlib is there, which basically helps you in doing visualization and plotting graphs and finding out things like this. Then slowly and gradually you'll start learning machine learning, deep learning, and other stuff like this. So for coding and other stuff, we have GitHub type of thing. But let's say if you have to build your portfolio in order to show your visibility that you have contributed in this particular field, or you know these types of skill set, so you can show your projects or codes into GitHubs. You can post the project related content on LinkedIn, or any discovery that you have done or any research paper you have published. You can post them on LinkedIn as well. You can participate in different type of Kaggle hackathons that are being run, or BioStar competitions. You can use different types of free open source libraries present under the Hugging Face type of platform. And there are certain certifications mentioned over there into which are being provided by Stanford and other universities which you can enroll into likewise. So With this, I would like to end, but before ending, I'll just quickly walk you through some of the edge cases. Like, I guess recently, 2 days or 3 years back, you might have heard of this particular thing that Google has launched it, C2S model, which basically means cell to sentence model. So what it basically does, it is being trained of 27 billion parameters. So in order to understand 27 billion parameters, you can imagine the amount of data set it is being trained on, the amount of different features it has been trained on. To understand the impact of this particular model, I'll walk you through a scene. So let's say if a person is having cancer, so you might have observed that people don't get to know, or it is not getting detected early. They mostly get to know at the end of second stage or at the start of the third stage when they start having those symptoms. But at that particular point of time, either it is incurable, or either they have to go through certain chemotherapies and radiation, which eventually have certain bad impact on it. So why is it not able to detect properly? Like, we have done almost all of the research, we have a lot of tests coming up in, but still not able to detect it. Why? Because this cancer cell has this immunity wherein it binds with our immune system and hides itself. So because of the current model that I was talking about, C2S model, which was discovered by Google, so they have discovered a drug which basically binds up with this proteins in our body and these cancer cells, and it increases its visibility by 50%. So let's say if anything is not visible to you and I suddenly increase the size of it, or I suddenly increase the visibility of it by 50%, then there are high chances that it can be detected, it can be cured, and other stuff. And there are other edge cases as well present in this particular field where AI has like performed drastically better in terms of, let's say, if you compare its performance with any kind of radiologist. So it is able to detect the small lungs, small nodes present inside a particular system, and likewise. So a lot of new discoveries are coming in which are helping, I would not say replace the doctors, but helping the doctor. Let's say if you have to analyze a ECG report of a person, so instead of scanning through all the reports, you can just upload it to the system. The model analyzes the report and it automatically highlights the anomalies. Okay, this particular person has this particular thing as higher weightage, or this particular person is allergic to this particular thing. Because most of the time when you visit a doctor, he generally asks, are you allergic to any particular thing? Do you have any kind of diabetes? Do you have any restrictions to taking any kind of medicines, likewise? But let's say if all these documents or all this record is present with the doctor in terms of electronic records, and when you visit next time and he is trying to prescribe you a particular disease, let's say if you are facing cold, the doctor is prescribing cetirizine. So when once the doctor writes the cetirizine, the AI model automatically detects, okay, you're describing him cetirizine which is specific for cold, but this person is allergic to this particular type of thing. So there are high chances that it might end up into any kind of reaction or any kind of skin infection, likewise. So the model is able to detect that anomaly, because the doctor might not able to recall what you have said him yesterday or what you have said him when the last time you visited him. So there are endless possibilities where we can utilize this AI and ML, likewise. Once you enroll into this type of courses, you'll get to know more in detail about them. So that was majorly all from my side. If you guys have any questions, we can have the Q&A right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marjan. That was really very eye-opening, and thank you so much for taking us inside the real-world ecosystem of AI-driven biotech careers, whether it is in pharma or diagnostics or agri-tech or computational startups. The way you showcased the global demand and career ladder was very inspiring, and I'm sure everyone now realizes that the future belongs to hybrid bioscientists who can experiment and code. So, once again, thanks a lot for your session, and we now will be opening the floor for Q&A. But before we move on to that, let's pause for a moment and reflect. If you have been wondering, how do I actually start applying this? So, here's the truth: getting started in AI/ML for biology doesn't require a supercomputer and odd years of experience. And already, as Mr. Mahajan highlighted, that you start with small things, right? So all you need is structured guidance, curated data sets, and most importantly, hands-on mentorship. And that's what exactly Biotechnika's AI/ML internship in biology and bioinformatics is providing you, and it starts 31st of August. It's designed to help beginners and researchers alike build ready-to-use project portfolios from omics data analysis to AI-powered gene prediction and also clinical bioinformatics. So if you are serious about your next step, this is your opportunity to start strong. So now let's open the floor for your questions. You can type in your questions in the comment section as of now. We will be able to take up a few select questions as we have run out of time. So first of all, here's a question from Aishwarya. So Aishwarya wants to know that the real reason why we biotech and life science graduates and postgraduates are really frustrated because we don't know where to find the job market, neither to guide us. Okay, so I think your question might have been answered by now, Aishwarya. If not, I would request Mr. Prodyot sir to kindly. Okay, so may I request Mr. Amol Mahajan to kindly guide in this regard? So the student wants to know like what is actually the job scenario, which you have given as an idea through your session, but if you could add a few lines for the student, then it will be great.
Yeah, sure. So let's say if you want to land a job into this AI/ML domain, so if you have an experience of 4 to 5 years, so apart from the technical expertise, the domain level knowledge is also equally important. Let's say if you are specifically applying for any life science or pharma based company, then you should have a little bit of understanding of medical coding, as in what are CPD codes, DRG codes. So this type of understanding you should eventually have, because once you get into that company, you will not be exposed to this training phase, which generally a fresher is exposed to, like 3 months or 6 months of training. They expect that from day one or day 10 onwards, at least you start and contributing likewise. So you should understand what the particular company is being catering to, what is their exact requirement by looking at the JD. And along with that, you should be able to mold your CV. You should add pharma related projects or life science related project in your CV. Let's say if you apply in a pharma based company with a banking based project, there are high chances will be getting rejected. So you should find out a suitable target and accordingly mold your CV in that particular shape and then apply it. So there are high chances that you'll be able to crack that job.
That was really a very useful suggestion. So I'm sure Aishwarya, this is going to help you further. And don't be frustrated. Biotecnika is there to help you. Please do contact us, and I'm sure our placement assistance department will definitely help you somewhere. Okay. Yeah, so the next question is from Hari Krishna. Today is your first day in this channel. So congratulations that you found us and you want to learn AIML. What are the further steps? So I think I have already mentioned to you, Hari Krishna. Please talk to us, okay, our team, and tell them your requirements, and definitely we will guide you with what you actually need for that. Okay. All right. The next question is from Shubha Karini Prabhakaran. So I think this question is directed to Mr. Prodot sir. What is the difference between clustering and classification? If you could highlight few lines on that, sir.
Yes, sure. So basically, there are multiple things though. But in one word, if I have to just answer the question, so basically, the classification belongs to your supervised learning. So the data is labeled. Whereas in clustering, so it belongs to unsupervised, so it is like not having labels. So what is the label? Basically, let's suppose if you are doing, so you have five fruits on your table, so it is having a tag that this is a like banana, it's an apple, or like based on the shape, it can also be based on the shape also. Okay, so based on that, if you are getting more of apple, so that would be mostly like when we do a classification, in other words, is when we have a categorical problem, yes or no, either or, like those kind of boolean kind of a thing when we have, so then we do a classification. Okay, and I have already stated that we do a regression in case of your continuous or a dynamic changing what do you say, relationship between your input and output. Whereas in the clustering, what happens is it is a unlabeled data, so based on the features only will cluster. So that let's suppose fraudulent detection or fraud detection and likewise. So intrusion detection. So just for an example, so you can, or club of gene. Let's suppose take an example of a like biological example if we want to take. So a hub of gene that is doing a particular certain thing. So we can cluster them together. So which are responsible for a certain, let's suppose type 2 diabetes. Okay, and we can go much more specific that which particular type 2 diabetes based drugs, let's suppose we are doing for drugs, so which particular drugs are only acting upon the type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, and which are acting on both insulin resistance as well as like helping out with the what do you say, weight management and likewise on those lines. Okay, so yeah, that would be an example. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have one more question from Mr. Manivanan. I'm a tech professional, IT services, digital transformation with 10 plus years experience. Do I need life science training to enter those roles, or should I study clinical data management or pharma or bio? Mr. Mahajan, if you can highlight few details
Sure.
about this.
So since you already mentioned that you are already from an IT domain and you have exposure to IT kind of thing, so it's not specific that in order to enter into this AI/ML domain or data science domain, all of your projects should be catering to this clinical trials and pharmaceutical domain as well. You can target different domains as well. Like you can target banking, you can target finance related domains, insurance, reinsurance, predictive modeling, and there are a number of different domains that you can target to. But let's say if your target is, let's say, Pfizer kind of company, or let's say if your target is AstraZeneca kind of company, so these companies specifically consider those candidates who have good exposure into this particular type of domain, who have previously dealt with this type of problem, who have understanding of domain, understanding of this medical coding, understanding of how the system works as in. So if you are applying for these type of companies in this type of roles, then you should of course have the understanding of this life science and how everything works. But otherwise, even if you have a good understanding of just machine learning, deep learning, and the different verticals that we have discussed previously, then you can crack job in any MNCs or any service based company or product based company.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting that part.
I just wanted to add one more thing. So I just completely agree with Mr. Amol. But just the understanding of biological data, that was a highlight of my presentation as well. So understanding of the biological data is also very important. So you might be getting a like having a good idea of your ML and stuff. Okay, but you need to understand that the how the biology works. Okay, so how the immunity works, so what are the things that can be done which can't be done. Okay, apart from that, what are the libraries that caters to biology particularly? Let's suppose biopython for that instance. Of course that would be much easier for you to do that, but of course you need to, so that is a different vertical that you want to have to work upon. Okay, but yeah, so this particular experience would help. But I would suggest, if you're asking between the options of pharma, clinical data, CDM, and your bio IT, so the bio IT would be more helpful for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestions, uh, Mr. Amol and Mr. Pradut. So next, we will take up just one last question. So this is from Ashirvad Mehta. So he says he's just 12th passed and can't decide what the path should be. So suggest me something. I'm PCB student or want to do bioinformatics. So he wants to know, is BSc MSc bioinformatics worth it or something else? So
Sure. I
any
can take it
any
up. So yeah.
yes
So
please.
even I was from although I had an engineering background, but I did not have a computer science background. I passed. I'm passing from a mechanical kind of field, so I did not have any kind of exposure to coding language or any kind of exposure to this AI, ML, and data analytics domain. Although I was good in maths and other stuff, but likewise, you only in 12th, I also had this M by PC wherein I have maths, biophysics, chemistry. So I also had a good understanding of maths, physics, and how biology can be integrated and other stuff. But it has nothing to do with what you have learned in your 12th or what you have learned in your engineering. These things eventually help you in certain kind of decision making and other stuff, but all things revolve around how you take up interest. If you're taking interest into these particular things, all of these things are easy. It's just that you need help and guidance from certain experts in order to understand, okay, these are the things, or this is the roadmap that I need to follow. I should start learning with Python, then I should start learning with this. Because if you try and explore these things on YouTube, you will be lost. Like you are watching one video of Python, you are watching other videos of pandas, and then you will be redirected to transform and other stuff. But the learning path needs to be decided, which can be like suggested by any industry expert only. So it has nothing to do with, let's say you have biology, then you should only choose like bio related projects or any kind. You should target only companies specific into healthcare and pharma domain. You can target any companies. It's just that you should have that skill sets of machine learning and deep learning. So Python, from my experience, I'll say it's not that difficult. It's just simple as writing an English language. Just some small syntax that you need to take care of. With eventually, if you practice within 1 month or 2 months, you'll be able to learn it.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we come to an end of this powerful session. And I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our speakers of the day, Mr. Prodyot Banerjee, for helping us understand the AI/ML career roadmap for students, and also to help us see how every stage of our academic journey can align with real world research and industry skills. And also, our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Amol Mahajan, who took time from his busy schedule to help us understand how to expand our horizons beyond academia and showing us what global AI driven life science career truly looks like. And of course, a big thank you to all our participants for being such an enthusiastic and curious audience tonight. And if you have any further questions, do write to us and we will get back to you with your replies. And remember this, the future of biology is computational, and those who start learning AI/ML today will lead the research breakthroughs of tomorrow. So don't stop here. Keep learning, keep experimenting, and take that next step with Biotechnika's AI/ML internship in biology and bioinformatics this 31st October. So thank you all once again for joining us. Stay inspired, stay curious, and have a wonderful evening ahead. Good night to all of you.